documentation. This is what Jack Ma brought to AU or in Ethiopia, and when Ethiopia was distributing, Kenya was entitled to this and this, and this is now what is in the consignment that we are getting as the airway bill. I don't know whether you will agree with me that there is still a gap behind in our link with Jack Ma, unless it is somewhere, or maybe it was said yesterday. You see, if you send a middle person, you must make sure the middle person has given you what you are given. Thank you, Chair.
We can take the last questions. Professor, then we go to Captain Ruwaida, and then I'll go to Honorable Koros. Professor, I thought you indicated you wanted to ask a question.
I did. I was trying to get some clauses on this, but thank you very much, Chair. Thank you very much, CS and your team, for your presentations and on that. And I am really happy that that you're here on behalf of the Cabinet Secretary. Definitely Article 95(2) of the Constitution puts the Parliament, the executive, to account or accountability. And therefore, that is the reason as to why we wanted the Minister to be here, but we pray for his quick recovery. However, it is also important that the ruling by the Speaker in the House on communication number 57 of 2019 indicates that, which says on the accountability of the executive to the Parliament and the place of chief administrative secretaries in responding to questions in the National Assembly, puts forward and rules, according to the Speaker's communication on that day, which I was fortunate that I was here, indicates that the Cabinet Secretary will take full responsibility for all responses that you have personally undertaken on his behalf. And therefore that must be in records in the Hansard, and that must be in records in this committee, that you will be undertaking that responsibility, he will be undertaking that responsibility, that any responses that you do to us. This is House of Records, this is House of Directives, and this is a house that, a house of law. Thank you very much. Your report will definitely be presented on the floor of this House as per the discussions and all the information you have given us, and we will examine each and every into scrutiny. My questions here, that was just a point of information. My questions is, describe in a clear, detailed discussion of the actual responsibility and the role of the Transport Ministry on the issues of the donations of Jack Ma Foundation. That's one question. Has there been any correspondence, Bwana CS, between your office or the Office of the Cabinet Secretary and Jack Ma Foundation after the scandal reports? If any, what was it? And can you present either in document form or in presentation to this committee? The other question is, what efforts has the ministry done to clear its name, and how, after the scandal has been raised, or information about the scandal, either in media or in the executive order of the President, which we remain guided on, and we are quite sure that time is ticking for the 3 weeks the President has given an executive directives to make sure that this scandal of COVID-19 is handled, including Kemsa and the Jack Ma Foundation scandal one. I think I will stop there, and I have said sufficiency of the queries that remains, but we really want to understand exactly how the ministry has handled the scandal.
Thank you, Captain Rueda.
Swali langu ni, tumesema kuna zile ambazo zimepotea. Je, thamani yake ni ngapi? Bei yake, yani tujue tumekosa hizo, tumekosa pesa ngapi. Ya pili ni pahali gani zilipotea. Maanake tunajua mzigo ukija unakuwa umefungwa vizuri, itakuwaje sasa ipotee hivyo hivyo? Hata sisi tukisafiri, mzigo ukienda ukiona bagi yako pengine kitu kimepungua, kuna ile una trace, unajua ilipotelea wapi. Sasa paka sasa sijaelewa ilipotelea wapi. Ilipotelewa ikifunguliwa hapa Kenya airport au kwa ministry, au ni Ethiopia airport, au ni kutoka huko kwao ministry yao kabla hazijapelekwa airport? Asante.
Thank you. And maybe you'll add the content on the 21 pieces missing, what was meant to be inside the packages. Honorable Smith, that's a question you wanted to ask? Okay. Honorable Kuros? Okay. Thank you. CS, you can respond.
Yes. First, I want to start with the question raised by Dr. Nyikao, member for SEME. How do we know that what we received was actually what was intended by the Jack Ma Foundation? It's very difficult to know, because what we received was actually a consignment intended for either Kemri or Minister of Health. And I want to believe that this was packed from China in the manner in which it was received at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. If, however, there was any repackaging in Addis Ababa, I will not be able to say so, but I want to believe, Madam Chair, that this, we received what we received in the manner in which it was packaged at source. That's from China. So it's very difficult to answer that question. I really don't. I can't say that that's what Jack Ma intended to donate to Kenya, but I want to believe that the consignment arrived here in the manner in which it was dispatched from China. On the second question by the member.
Point of order, Madam Chair.
What is out of order?
Yes, Madam Chair, is it in order for the CAS to claim that they received the items in the manner that it had been released by Jack Ma from China, yet it is in public domain and from their communication that all the products from Jack Ma were transported to Addis Ababa, African Center for Disease under the African Union. And it appears that it was at the volition of African Union, the Center of African Disease, to distribute those items. How did they distribute those items before even opening? How did they keep an inventory of the items that were released from China? So I think it is fair enough to say that these things the government of Kenya received from Ethiopia. And then two, from the document that you've tabled here, there is nowhere where it indicates China. It talks about Ethiopia. So the gray area here is the consignment that it got lost, the 21 packs, it got lost in Ethiopia. Those are the issues that you've raised here. And that, I think that is, you are not in order. It's not in order for you to tell us that these things you received as it was from China. And in fact, that's my point of clarification that I wanted you to seek, to clarify. And it will go to public. that the government of Kenya never received the Jack Ma Foundation items from China directly. It went to African Center of Disease. Now, even us now, we have a concern to ask the African Center of Disease, did we get our right share? Is there a communication from Jack Ma to government of Kenya saying that you are going to receive this number of items? Now, then we can counter-check with African Union or the Center of Disease, because they might have given out our items, and that's why we have all these gray issues arising from how much the government received. Yes, thank you.
Yes, thank you. I hear the argument by Honorable Kutun, but in my earlier remarks, I just said I believed that what we received was in the form in which it was consigned from China. And I said, I am not in a position to say whether there was any repackaging in Addis Ababa. So this is something that is open to interpretation, but you know, I don't know what conclusion we will reach. I wanted to go to the second question regarding whether we engaged in any correspondence with the Jack Ma Foundation. And I want to say that as a ministry, we did not. We have not engaged in any correspondence with Jack Ma donation. And further, that as a ministry, I think the honorable member from Wajir wanted to know what we have done in the face of this scandal as a ministry. And they said, really, you know, we have heard about all these things being said in the public domain, but there was nothing we could do about it. We were waiting for a forum of this kind to be able to state our position, the role we played as a ministry, and the facts that I have outlined from yesterday's response and this morning. That's really
what is out of order, Honorable Professor?
Chair, I do acknowledge the efforts of the CAS to tell us about what they have done and what they have not done about handling scandal in a very important and powerful ministry. It is so unfortunate, especially when dealing with international donations and the likes. If you come and sit here and tell us, that there was nothing you could do about it, it is utter shame on the ministry. You should have communication department, a department that takes care of all matters to be communicated to public and to the government, and to advise the president on how these matters have been done. You must have let down the president and the people of Kenya in that matter. I would say, if you have come to say that there was nothing you could do about it, I am sorry. I'm not taking that answer. And I'll take it forward into the report to show the failures of the ministry in communicating what they have seen on that. And I'll stand on that.
Maybe members, I would like to guide. There's a document yesterday we received from the Ministry of Health. And from that document, I was just trying to go through it. There is clear communication between the Ministry of Health and Ethiopia. And it seems, and maybe the CS will correct me, that the role of the Ministry of Transport was to clear and report to the Ministry of Health what was missing, and then the Ministry of Health to follow up. I think this is something we need to follow up with our mother ministry. But I'll refer members to this documentation that we received yesterday from the Ministry on Jack Ma, and I can see clear communication. Maybe the failure on the part of the Ministry of Transport is to have proper documentation, because I'm also struggling with what you have brought to try and find out what is where. I was trying to even give Dr. Nikal some documentation, but from this folder, I think members will have to look at it again. The one we received from the Ministry of Health, it seems there was a lot of communication between Tanzania, Ethiopia, and Kenya. And there's a letter, I think this was Annex 1, that from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ethiopia, and to our embassy in Ethiopia, saying they have received, in regard, the ministry once again appreciating their support, we will kindly inform the list of donations, and they have given the list of what was expected. So members we might need to refer back to this folder that we received from the Ministry of Health.
Thank you for your guidance, Chair.
Yeah.
But we cannot condone excuses of this team again. We gave them excuse yesterday. We cannot condone again for them not to bring orderly documents. We cannot. This is not right. This is a very honorable committee. And you're not primary school people. You are senior people, professionals. You cannot come with documents haphazardly, documents that are disorderly. We will not accept that. I will even suggest that this meeting stopped. If that is the case, we cannot be played around here like children. We are honorable members here who are here doing work that is based on timeline. The President wanted it within 21 days. I'm not going to accept this in my capacity.
Madam Chair.
Yes, CS, and maybe as you also respond to that, just clarify to us what was missing, the 21 pieces. What was missing?
Yes, Madam Chair. I want to say, for example, that I am disadvantaged to the extent that I don't have the copies which you've just read from the Ministry of Health. I have not had the opportunity to get access to those documents, and therefore I am not... all I know is that I have been in touch with them, and they have confirmed that they are pursuing this question of the 21 packages that were short delivered. The second point, I am not very sure that I understand why the honourable member from Wajir is so upset, is so frustrated. I cannot understand.
No documents to deal with you. Simple.
I think
Let the CS finish. Honorable Koros, I'll give you a chance. Let the CS finish with the issues that were raised, and then we can discuss this matter. We have members, we have a long day today, so CS,
Madam
make
Chair,
your conclusion.
I have had the opportunity of being a member of this House, this Parliament, for 25 years. And I never saw opportunities where people, honorable members would be so upset. If you need information, raise that information, we'll try and look it for you. But, to say we don't know what we are doing in the ministry, I think is sensationalizing a matter that shouldn't. I think as a ministry, our role was simply to clear this equipment on behalf of government institutions, namely Ministry of Health and Memory. That was our role. And we received this consignment. There was a short delivery of 25 packages. As I've said, we reported this to the Ministry of Health. They are pursuing it with the people who consigned this, who dispatched this equipment from Addis Ababa. There is nothing more we can do at this stage. To the value of the 21 missing packages, I'm not in a position to say that because we didn't even know what that 21 packages contained, what was comprised in those 21 packages. And so I want to assure the honourable member, we prepared, that's our job, to provide this House with any information the House wants. And we are prepared, we have always been willing to do so, and we have cooperated with this committee and other committees of Parliament. And so, I don't know why we, at the conclusion of a matter like this, why we should demonstrate frustration and a lack of appreciation for each other.
I think we are fine unless there's something that would want further clarification or...
Chair, point of order.
PS...
If you can allow the Principal Secretary in my ministry who has been the person on the ground in
Yes.
respect to this matter to say something.
1 minute, all Captain. PS.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, as indicated, the only aspect of this transaction that the ministry was dealing with was the clearance aspect. And this is for only one reason, Chair. The fact that for that time, the government clearing agent was administratively under the Ministry of Transport. Because, Chair, what happens is that the agency deals directly with the client. And in this case, the client is the Ministry of Health, and any other communications with the source are then supposed to be between the Ministry of Health and the source, and not with the Ministry of Transport. So that aspect for us is purely just because the agency was placed under us for 1 year, because for that 1 year, they were under the budget of the State Department for Transport. The agency is now under the National Treasury. So, Chair, is purely the aspect of the agency where it was placed, but the agency deals directly with the client. And the client was the Ministry of Health, and the Ministry of Health was the one which was then dealing with all other matters of the transaction. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you for that clarification. Captain Rueda and Director, because you are the clearing agent, did you know what was meant to come, the 21 pieces? Did you know I'm very sure within the landing bill there was the content on what you're expecting. Do you have that information, Captain? Go ahead.
Okay. Chair, my question was not answered, the last question. I asked, is there any tracing mechanism? I'm sure this is not the first one that you don't get complete. But there must be a mechanism to trace. Is it missing from the airport or the airline? Let's say the Ethiopian airline. Were they given exact what you got? Just tell us if it is missing from Ethiopia airport, from the airline, or from Nairobi, or from where it comes from. That is my question. I'm sure there must be a mechanism to trace if something is missing.
Yes, so you know what was loaded, what you received. I think it's clear. Again, I'll direct the same question to the Director.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The total of what we were supposed to receive was 697 packages. But when that consignment arrived at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, we received 21 packages less. So the 21 packages never arrived in Kenya. They never arrived at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. So that shortfall was in Ethiopia, not here. And as I said, I just received confirmation from the top officials of the Ministry of Health. They are in contact. In fact, even the chair just read a letter from the ministry confirming that they're pursuing this matter with the people who consigned this from Addis Ababa. So we hope that this is not the end of the matter. We will eventually receive these 21 packages.
Point of order, Chair.
Chair.
Point of order, Chair.
What is out of order?
Point of order, Chair.
I've asked what is out of order.
I want to get some clarification on the same, Chair.
So there's nothing out of order, just one clarification, okay? So you can go ahead and make clarification.
Okay, thank you, Chair. When CS, you said the 21 cartons you didn't receive. What could be the worth value of those cartons you didn't receive? And what was inside?
Captain, what is it?
Okay, now we know the 21 missing is not from Kenya. But now we want to know, is it the airport or the airline or the ministry from Ethiopia? Because there must be a delivery note to the airline. When you transport, there must be a delivery note. The airline received what we were supposed to get so that we can know the 21 pieces missed from the airline.
That is correct. Ethiopian Airlines did not deliver the 21 packages. And that's what is being pursued now.
So you're saying it's Ethiopian Airlines?
Correct.
So they should pay.
Did Ethiopian Airlines receive the packages?
Members, since we said the matter is with the Ministry of Health, I would allow we rest this matter. We will pursue through our mother ministry, which is Ministry of Health, to find out whether it's African Union that didn't deliver to the airline. I think this is something we can actually follow up. Because the ministry, clearly they said we were clearing on behalf, and that because the agency is under, at that time, I understand now it's not under you again, it's under Treasury now, was under Ministry of Transport. And that's why I was waiting to hear from the director, and it has been confirmed by the CS that they never received, and the airline didn't deliver. I think we can now pursue from our mother ministry to find out. Is it that what had been promised, the African Union didn't give the whole entire, or something got lost between now the African Union and the airline? I think that's one we can pursue further.
Chair, there's still a link. This thing must start from Jack Ma. To whichever agent, we must know what is it Jack Ma intended to deliver to Africa. I've seen some documents which have not been summarized, where they are saying this country, this country. So Jack Ma intended to deliver this to Africa. It is going through Ethiopian Ministry of Health. Somebody must be buying them there. And that person, then they must be packaged. Then they are taken to Ethiopian Airlines. So what we need to do, and I think we can't just say the Ministry of Health alone. It will take all of them, all the way up Ethiopia, back to Jack Ma. And then that is where we'll find. So I think as a team they should work together and start this thing all the way from Jack Ma said, I'll give this. And he seemed to also be working with some agency according to those documents. And this is what was to go to this. Because several values are being given. Sometimes with those documents, you see the amount, what they are, and then you see what are the actual items. So we will need a complete information saying the amount was this, the items were this, they cost this much, and then add up to that amount. Now when they have changed into items, then we want to know who was buying them for Jack Ma and how much did he buy. He delivered them to Ethiopian Ministry of Health or that center. Now somebody must have packaged them from that center to Ethiopian Airlines. Then Ethiopian Airlines comes here and says, this is what's in our package. When you are counting, you find 21 missing. That, in my mind, is what the two ministries really still owe us.
I think I want to give the last comment to Honorable Dagala so that we can finalize on this matter.
Well, Chair, I just wanted to, it's just a concern because if these things, there is a public outcry of the Jack Ma, the Jack Ma donations going astray. The way the Honorable Christopher Bure has said, how sure is he those packages got lost in Ethiopia? And also, he should also share to us here, he's talking of the government agency that was clearing this luggage from Ethiopia to Kenya here. Can he shed light on this Pivotech company? What role did it play at this particular time of clearing this?
Which company again?
Pivotech company.
Pivotech?
Yeah.
Okay.
Some company, sort of. He should also be able to tell us what role they played. Because it seems there's something sinister that we are not being told here. a loss of 21 packages is not just a symbol, one package. If it is one package, that one can be, but 21, Chair, there is something amiss somewhere that this committee should be told for the Kenyans also to know what became of these donations. Thank you.
Okay. Yes.
Madam Chair, I am not very sure that I heard the name of this company that the honorable member is talking about.
I think just for clarity, was there any other company that was involved in clearing?
No.
Apart from the government agency?
No.
That should be the question.
For this particular consignment, no private clearing agent was engaged, and this consignment was exclusively cleared by the government clearing agent. I also want to say further, in the light of some of the comments made here by honorable members, Madam Chair, as I said, our role at the time was to facilitate clearance of the items that arrived at the airport. And our involvement was purely because the government clearing agent at the time was administratively under the Ministry of Transport, as explained by the PS. However, there have been recent changes. The government clearing agent is now it's been placed under the national government, and therefore we have no role over this matter. And pursuing the question honorable member for SEME raised, I wish to request that this matter be pursued directly with the Ministry of Health, so that the Ministry of Health can help in clarifying whether what we received was actually what Jack Ma Foundation intended for Kenya. That can only be done through communication by the Ministry of Health, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, in conjunction with the sister ministries in Ethiopia and so on.
Yes,
Honorable, let me just give this to Honorable Joyce, because she has not spoken to this matter.
Thank you, Chair. I think I got a clear message from the PS. And according to me, I think the Ministry of Transport did its part because the role they had was to clear, and they also identified the missing items given the way bill, because it's the way bill that gives those details. The way bill is usually sent by the freight forwarder, which in this case could be either the AU or the origin. That's Jack Ma. So I think our questions will largely lie on the Ministry of Health, which is the client that is supposed to have communicated with the donor and known the details, looking at the customs packing list, looking at the way bill, the dispatch note, the delivery note. So all those things, I think from where I sit, I think the Ministry of Transport did its part by clearing what was sent and identifying what was missing. So the question is, how do we follow up on the missing items? And that goes back to the ministry. Thank you, Chair.
Chair. I have something to say.
Yes.
Mimi naona tusitoe majukumu kwa Ministry of Transport. Ni jukumu lao kuleta mzigo. Tegemea kule walipata mzigo size gani. Na swali lingine ni kwamba huu mzigo ukiletwa, wengine wanaika insurance. Huu mzigo, was it insured? Manake mzigo kama huo unafaa kuwa insured. Was it insured? If it was insured, ni kampuni gani? Manake kama umekuwa insured, hiyo insurance inafaa kulipa hii mzigo.
I think, Director.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Yes, you need to clear there so that we can move on.
And I want on the question raised. We were not provided with insurance certificates, and in any case, if they had, then that should have been Jack Ma's obligation.
Question is, because I asked what value you could not, you said you are not in a position.
To establish.
Now, to establish.
Yeah.
So it was not insured, you are telling us?
No, I'm saying we were not handed over insurance documents of the consignment. That's what I've said.
Ndio mimi nilikuwa nasema kwa hii committee, mzigo kama hii sisi kwa ministry inafaa waeke insurance ikiletwa. Ikipotea ifai kulipwa. Kwa sababu mzigo mwanzo value hamjatuambia. Mzigo pesa mingi kisha msiweke insurance. Ikipotea sasa inakuwa hivi. Tafuteni njia ya namna mkileta mzigo aina yote wa huo lazima ukue na insurance.
Director, you have something to say?
Yes.
Proceed.
Yes, instances where things are pushed to you, you don't have control on how to process them. So it becomes a bit challenging. The best we could do was to go back to the vessel that carried the items, which we did, and they confirmed to us that they didn't, the 21 packages never landed.
Thank you. I think for the purposes of us to proceed, honorable members, I'd just like that we direct, and I want the clerk to note that we, on our deliberations on this matter, will need to refer to the document we were given by Ministry of Health yesterday, which is the letter of donation intent. And this was letter written to Ethiopian Public Health Institute from Jack Ma. And just for the purpose of clarification, it said in the, it's an appeal in order to improve people affected by COVID. And they have said, I just want to read the last bit. There is a value, it will come through Ethiopian Public Health Institute. These goods will be sent to Ethiopia Public Health Institute for prevention of and control of COVID. And then they go ahead to say the quality is as per indicated by the Ethiopian Public Health. That's the first one. I think Annex 1, I just want the Secretariat to note. Then there's an annex, there's also the letter, Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, Ministry of Foreign Affairs. This is addressed to it's addressed to the Embassy of the Republic of Kenya in Addis Ababa. And then it has the honor to inform the letter that with further reference to the note verbal, the one that I've just read there, the second round of donations from Haiti Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed Jack Ma initiative to reverse COVID-19 pandemic from Africa is arriving in Addis Ababa soon. And then they go ahead and say in this regard, once again, as we appreciate the support, they say there will be donations, ventilation machines, medical disposal, and then they go ahead. And they say the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Federal Republic of Ethiopia avails itself in this opportunity to renew the Embassy of the Republic of Kenya the assurance of its highest consideration. Then from there, there is also an attachment. I just want for the Secretariat to note on what was to be given. There's a list. Detection kit 96, there were 210, and the numbers. Lab tests, ventilators, infrared thermometers, 81. I think these are very important documents, civilian N95 mask, and the list goes on. And finally, there is also a document showing all African countries and how the distribution was done. And I can see Kenya there, so that then we can confirm the numbers. I can see the numbers were almost the same to all African countries. And then from Algeria all the way, there's a list which is important that Secretary, as you note, Annex number 3, so that we are able to follow as a committee when we sit, and then we'll be able to find out if there are any gaps. So, CS, do you have anything else to add or any concluding remarks?
Yes. Yes, Honorable Chair.
Chair, is it important to seek clarification on the document so that when you are responding, Madam Chair, I've just heard you saying Ethiopian Public Health Institute.
Yes.
And then we have got African Center for Disease Control. You know, here we have communication from the Ethiopian government. That is Ethiopian Public Health Institute, to the government of Kenya, indicating the quantity, the number of items that are going to be supplied. Here, the government of Kenya is receiving items from Ethiopia, but African Center for Disease Control. So, is there confusion on these institutions? The government of Ethiopia and Center for Disease, which is under African Union. And as I know, African Union, Ethiopia has no control under African Union. So at what point did Ethiopia get involved on this issue of JACMA? That is a clarification that I will want to seek. And to the director, one of the reasons JACMA decided to send items to Ethiopia was, quote unquote, that there was some corruption, that it will get lost in African countries, including Kenya. But today you are here telling us that the JACMA donations got lost in Ethiopia. So is it now confirmed that there is corruption also in Ethiopia, where the African items got lost from JACMA? And JACMA needs to be advised that there in the future, if you have to send any donation to Africa, send it to the respective countries, not Ethiopia. Thank you.
Yeah. Chair, please, I have something to say.
Captain, I'll just give you 30 seconds because
Yes,
time is not on our side. We have people waiting, and we also will be sitting here. We don't want again to finish like yesterday, very late.
Sawa.
Yeah.
Chair, hapa nimeona kuna hatari kubwa. Ni lazima wizara ituambie kama hakuna sheria tutunge sheria. Maana yake vile mnasema 21 imepotea, je kama ndege ilianguka, huo mzigo wote ungekuwa umeenda hivyo? Je kama mnapeleka na meli mzigo wa pesa nyingi ukiwa umepotea, so inamaanisha hamuna njia za kufuatilizia. So mimi nasema hii mambo insurance ni muhimu. Kama itabidi sheria hakuna, tutunge sheria, mzigo wote wa serikali unaokuja uwe umewekwa insurance. Manake ni hatari, itakuwa pengine pesa bilioni nyingi na tuambiwe meli imezama. Kisha itakuwa imeenda hivyo hivyo. Tutakuwa hatuna njia za kuclaim. Hii kama alikuwa mmeweka insurance, I'm sure kuna muna hiyo sheria ya kuweka insurance. Tatukwaje mzigo tu mtume hivi bila insurance? Tafadhali nataka kujua kama hakuna sheria hiyo, basi sisi tutunge sheria. Manake ni hatari. Inaweza wekwa bilioni kadhaa kwenye meli, kisha meli izame, pengine hata meli imezama na hakuna hizo bilioni hapo ndani. Kisha tutaenda vipi?
Sawa, tosha. Ya tosha sasa. CS, let me allow you to do your conclusion.
Yes.
We need to conclude this matter.
Yes, Madam Chair. I know we've been discussing this for a long time. Madam Chair, my Ministry of Transport, Infrastructure, Housing, Urban Development and Public Works, had only one role in this matter: to clear the goods that arrived at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. And we were involved merely because administratively the ministry was in charge of the agency, the government agency that is responsible for clearing goods, namely the government clearing agent. That was administratively under the Ministry of Transport at the time. And I was going to make one request, that all this is really a matter for the Ministry of Health in conjunction with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to clarify all the issues about this donation in response to some of the questions that have been raised here by members. And I wish to make a request that in the light of the changes that have recently taken place, where even the government clearing agent has been moved from the Ministry of Transport to the National Treasury, really as a ministry, as the Ministry of Transport, we have no standing in these matters anymore, and I wish to request that we be allowed to deal with the mandate placed in our hands apart from this particular one. Therefore, I wish to request that this matter is pursued with the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to be able to provide answers for the various questions which have been raised by members here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, CS and PS and your team. You may take leave now. We will follow this matter. Asanteni sana. I would request the Sergeant at Arms to allow the second group to come in. The group from Kemsa and also the suspended officials. And also for sanitizing the areas where those people are seated. Sergeant at Arms, please be fast.